Farewell, Blue Yodeler. Obituary. June 1st, 1933. Asheville Evening Post by Floyd O. Merrill. With the passing last week of Jimmie Rodgers, the country lost a great performer. But it's a testament to the kind of man he was that many of his fans will take the loss personally, as if that Blue Yodeler, as we like to call him, and we'll remember him, was a friend of ours. Thankfully, we've got his records to keep with us as mementos. James Charles Rodgers was born in Meridian, Mississippi in 1897. His mama died when he was just a kid, and Jimmy was raised by relatives in Mississippi and Alabama. When he was a little older, he returned to Meridian to live with his father, Aaron, who was a maintenance foreman on the Mobile and Ohio Railroad. Jimmy had no rigorous musical training, but he learned to sing and play guitar. Still a boy, Jimmy proved to be a nonconformist. He secretly organized a traveling show. When Aaron Rodgers found out, he had the good sense to foil his son's plans. He tracked Jimmy down and dragged him home. But the stunt was more than the bumbling behavior of an unruly kid. Jimmy showed the same initiative again, formulating a second plan to get out on the road and sing. He charged a pricey canvas tent in his father's name and hit the road to make music. His father might have understood Jimmy's love of music, but he probably didn't want the boy to delude himself about a musician's life. He set out again to pry his son from the road. Soon, Aaron got Jimmy a job as a water boy with the railroad. Within a few years, Jimmy was a brakeman on the New Orleans and Northeastern Railroad. Now Jimmy was a steady working man, but he never lost his love of music. Jimmy came down with the deadly respiratory disease called tuberculosis in 1924, when he was 27 years old. As a consequence of that abominable disease, he had to quit his railroad job. Ever resourceful, Jimmy organized a traveling show and played across the Southeast. He worked as a brakeman again and later as a switchman, but couldn't keep those jobs because of his tuberculosis. But his travels gave him a look at the whole panorama of Southern music. In 1927, Jimmy went to Asheville, North Carolina, where the city's first radio station had just hit the airwaves, and he played on the radio and earned himself a weekly slot. The exposure served him well in subsequent months. He recorded songs for a record company. One of them, Blue Yodel, sold like hotcakes and made Jimmie Rodgers a star. Propelled by fame, the Blue Yodeler traveled the country for the next few years. It was hard times for the nation, but while so many people were on the dole and looking for work, Jimmy was living his dream. He was making music, touring, and starring in a movie short called The Singing Brakeman. Eventually, his illness caught up with him. During a recording session in New York City last week, he couldn't get through all of his songs. He took the day off to recover, but Jimmy was in a race against time. So before he'd sung his last song, Jimmie Rodgers was gone. But in a few years as a recording artist, and a few more as a performer who rambled around the country, he made such a mark for posterity that we'll never forget him. Jimmy leaves behind his wife, Carrie, and daughter, Carrie Anita, and a legion of fans and recordings. Farewell, Blue Yodeler.